Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters in Christ, today we gather to explore one of the most crucial aspects of the Christian life, the relationship between faith and action. The Bible makes it clear that faith is the foundation of our walk with God. But faith is not merely an intellectual assent or a passive belief. It is an active force that propels us into obedience. And as the great evangelist Billy Graham often preached, faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase. Our text today comes from James 2:14-26, a passage that directly addresses the balance between faith and works. What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save them? James 2:14 in NIV. Let us explore this critical topic in three key dimensions: the nature of true faith, the evidence of faith in action, and the necessity of works in demonstrating faith. Faith is the means by which we are justified before God. Paul declares in Ephesians 2:8-9, "For it is by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not from yourselves. It is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast." Salvation is a gift from God, given freely to those who believe in Jesus Christ. It is not earned, and no amount of good deeds can replace the necessity of faith. However, biblical faith is not passive. Jesus himself called people to a faith that moves them into action. In Luke 6:46, he asks, "Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I say?" True faith is more than just words. It is a deep conviction that results in obedience. If we say we believe in Christ, but live unchanged lives, we deceive ourselves. James continues in his letter to argue that faith without works is dead. In James 2:17, he states, "In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead." Consider Abraham, the father of faith. Genesis 15:6 tells us that he believed the Lord, and he credited it to him as righteous. But his faith was demonstrated through action when he obeyed God's command to offer Isaac on the altar. Genesis 22. James affirms this in James 2:21-22. "Was not our father Abraham considered righteous for what he did when he offered his son Isaac on the altar?" You see that his faith and his actions were working together, and his faith was made complete by what he did. Abraham's obedience proved the authenticity of his faith. Likewise, our faith should be visible in our action. If we claim to follow Christ, our love should be evident in how we treat others. John 13:35. If we trust God, our lives should reflect confidence in his promises. If we believe in the power of prayer, we should be on our knees daily. Faith and works are not in opposition, but in harmony. We are not saved by works, but we are saved for work. Ephesians 2:10 states, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." Consider the parable of the Good Samaritan in Luke 10:25-37. A priest and a Levite, both religious men, passed by a wounded man on the road. They had knowledge of the law and the appearance of faith, yet they failed to act. But a Samaritan, despised by the Jews, stopped to help. He demonstrated love through action, proving that real faith manifests in deeds. Jesus also speaks of this principle in Matthew 25:34-40, where he says, "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. Truly I tell you, Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. Friends, our faith should move us beyond words into tangible expressions of God's love. A church filled with true believers should be a beacon of service, compassion, and transformation in the world. Billy Graham once said, "The greatest legacy one can pass on to one's children and grandchildren is not money or material things, but rather a legacy of character and faith." How do we leave such a legacy? By living out a faith that works. Faith is not merely about what we believe. It is about what we do with what we believe. It is about trusting God and then stepping forward in obedience. The world does not need more people who claim Christianity but do not live it. It needs men and women who embody Christ's love, truth, and righteousness. Let us examine our hearts today. Are we walking in a faith that produces good works? Or have we settled for a faith that is lifeless and ineffective? James 2:26 concludes, "As the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without deeds is dead." May we be a people whose faith is alive, vibrant, and active in the world. Let us love, serve, and give as Christ did, so that our lives may be a testimony to the power of genuine faith. Amen.